Okay, it started. All right, so the first question is identify a way of being.
So is that just like one of like the ways they talked about in this book, The Anatomy of Peace?
Yeah. So basically, what I was getting from a way of being was just kind of like how you view people, because it talked about the heart at war and the heart at peace kind of a thing. And it was basically saying, like, if you have a heart of war, then you view people of more of like objects and just obstacles that are in your way. But if you have a heart of peace, then you see people as people that have feelings just as you do and make mistakes just like you do. And so I think a way of being is just kind of the umbrella topic, I guess, for those two things.
Yeah, I kind of like, I mean, I thought it was like interesting. Like, I think it's like very true what was like brought up in the book, but I don't think I've ever really thought about it, like how we control like our own emotions, and like even though someone's making us mad, like you can still see them as a person, and even though you like don't agree with them, like
Yeah,
that was interesting. It's a lot nicer to read than like a textbook.
yes, oh my gosh, so much easier.
I was like, I like so much
more. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is to share an experience about a heart of war. So, I don't know, do you have an experience to
I
share?
know, I was looking at this earlier, and I don't even know. I don't know, maybe like growing up, I just have one little brother, and he's actually gonna be 19 on Sunday. But just like growing up, I know him, my dad, kind of like in the book. I don't think it was ever that bad, like where like he's being sent like to this like outdoor retreat thing, or what do they call it? But definitely they both had kind of a heart at war at times. But they would like just go back and forth with like unkind words and like the tone of their voice, and like I think my dad's really good. Like he's like people as people and not as objects. Like probably out of our entire family, he's like the one that like if an argument arises, he like calms everything down and like what's the big picture, like what's the end goal, like what's important. And so he's like a good example of seeing people for who they are and as a person, not as an object. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. I know that sometimes I've been guilty, I think, of a heart of war, just because sometimes when you get so heated in an argument or some kind of a debate and you are just so sure that your point of view is correct, it's kind of easy to fall into that habit of just like yelling and trying to get your point across through ways that aren't very effective just because you kind of view these people as dumb, or I don't know, they're just not the same level as you because they don't think the same way as you. And I think that we all kind of are guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah.
I can't think of like a specific experience where that's
me either. I think we also become like very hypocritical. Like I've done that myself. I get like all heated and frustrated or like yell in an argument, and then I'm like I get mad at them for doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. But I see myself as right, so I feel like it's like acceptable for me to be yelling when it's really not.
Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of goes with the last question for the anatomy of peace. The collusion diagram is exactly that, where just like you get mad at people for being judgmental and being harsh towards you, but then you turn around and complain about it to other people. And in a way, it's like you're doing the exact same thing that you were just getting upset with that person about.
Yeah, it's like what was happening in the book a ton. They were all like getting mad at each other, like the parents in the group, like yelling at each other, but then like you're doing the exact same thing.
But, yeah, exactly. It's interesting. The book, it's definitely probably my favorite read of all these TR classes because all the exact same textbooks and they're all like so boring. And this one just kind of gives a different perspective and like makes you think about how does this apply to TR, but like in a more abstract way.
Applies to like your life, and then I feel like it's like more real world than like reading the textbook of like the different like terms and everything. It's more like real life application.
It's a lot more pleasing to read, and I feel like it makes a lot more sense, these concepts, because of that too. So
yeah,
I really like that. I don't know, I feel like we touched on Heart of Peace, just like seeing people as people and understanding that they have feelings and that yelling is not always the best way to get problems solved, and just understanding that they're just like you and that you can't really judge them for their views, just like you wouldn't expect them to judge you for your views.
Yeah, that's super true.
And same thing, I can't think of like a specific experience.
Yeah, I think if I was like having my internship or in the field, like I'd be like, oh, and, like pull something up, but
yeah,
not.
I think maybe a good thing that I can think of is like around the time of presidential elections, I'm very heated in my opinion, and I feel like once it's all said and done, I look back and realize like we're all just people. No one is right or wrong. Like we all just have our own opinions, and that's just the way life is, and we have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it like ties in a lot with like the church, like agency. It's like it'd be boring if we all had the same opinion. Like there'd be no point for like being here. So it all like ties in, I think.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from the book that you want to talk about? Or?
I think we answered all like the like top questions and like speaking points we were supposed to talk about. So
yeah. All right. The next section is about deepening our learning of TRAM. And so the first question is, how does being involved in the legislative process help the profession of TR? What do you think?
We've talked about this in previous classes and kind of talks about in the book too. Like, I think TR is kind of a smaller field, and we have to like stand up as like professionals and like work with legislators to like pass laws. And we're talking about in class like different laws to pass, like to allow insurance agencies to like cover therapeutic recreation, because a lot cover like occupational and physical therapy, but they don't cover TR. And I've worked myself in like rehab nursing assistant license, and like I've never worked in a place that has therapeutic recreation. Like I've brought it up because they wanted me to like stay and work there, and I was like, well, if you can like let me do an internship here, but like they don't have recreational therapy anywhere. I don't know if it's a lot more common like Utah and up here, but like I'm from Arizona and they don't have like anything there. So I think as a professional in the field, we can like use our knowledge and like research and like our leadership skills that we like learn in this class and like management stuff to like get legislation passed that kind of gives us more of a edge in the field, kind of proves that we're doing good and playing games. It's actually therapy.
Yeah, that's kind of along the lines of what I was thinking too, is just like I am graduating this semester, but then I have to do an internship in the fall. And it is the biggest pain to try and find a CTRS to intern under, because it's just not a common field. Even here, like we're lucky enough to have a few facilities, but it's super competitive because there's not much.
Yeah. Are you in Rexburg or Idaho, or where are you living?
I'm in Rexburg right now.
Yeah, I know it's super hard. I'm doing my internship in like the Salt Lake area because I was going to graduate this semester, but I extended to fall because I didn't want to take 471 and 472 online this semester. So I just am taking them in the fall, but like it's super hard. I got like my aunt's like a social worker at a place you can do it, but like it's so uncommon. Like I think it would be, I can see working in rehab and like how good it would be for like our patients, but I don't know. Insurance just doesn't want to pay for it because it's not something that you can like chart progress as easily as like nursing or like physical therapy.
there's not as many like quantitative qualities that
Yeah.
you can chart, and it's hard to explain to like the federal government in something other than just simple numbers of progression. And so
Yeah. Like we're making people feel better, but like I don't know, it's hard to prove.
Yeah.
And like show.
Something else I was just gonna bring up because I still like don't quite understand this concept, but like in the podcast that Sister Greenwood did, and also in the book, it talks about making licenses like more necessary. Because in the book, it kind of talks about how they want to be licensed in order to perform TR, just so that they can protect the consumers. And I know that in the podcast, Sister Greenwood mentioned something about how licenses are required in like I don't remember which states, but like New Hampshire and just
North.
a few of them.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was kind of interesting that our profession is kind of advocating for making people that want to work within that field get licensed, but it's not technically required from what I gather. And so I don't know. Is that kind of what you gathered? I'm
Well,
kind of
I'm in
confused.
I'm in Sister Greenwood's 371 class actually right now, and it was weird because I went to start watching the podcast, and we just talked about that in her class on Tuesday. Like that was what like her PowerPoint was on. So she was
Okay.
saying that like it's only required in certain states, and they're working on to make it more required. But she's like, no matter where you are, you should get licensed, because she's met other students that like haven't gotten licensed and they moved to another state, and because they're not licensed, they have to like go back and take additional classes or go back and do something. So it's just like smart to be licensed no matter where you are, even if it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
And it should be mandatory everywhere. You more of an edge, like, okay, I have this license, like I'm qualified to do this. I'm not just here and don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly. And so one of the questions is what are the benefits of licensure? And something that I learned in risk management in the fall was that having licensure kind of protects you as well, just because you have this document that says, I know what I'm doing, I'm a professional. And so when you have to make risky situations and like risky decisions, if they don't turn out exactly how they were supposed to, it can help protect you if you ever were to get sued for doing something incorrectly or for equipment failure or whatever. It's just good to kind of have that as a background, because then the courts can understand that, okay, you were acting the way that you know how, and there's proof that you should know what you're doing,
Yeah,
basically.
like you know, had all this education and background and took a test and like did all this stuff for it.
Yeah.
True. I didn't think about that.
So the next question is, what are some of the concerns of legislating TR? One thing that I just kind of wrote down as the purpose for like trying to advocate for TR is because we want to protect clients and we want to help the people that need our help. And so one of the concerns that I was thinking is just that the people that are advocating for TR are concerned for the clientele, and they just want the clientele to have the best possible experience with TR, and they want everything to be done the way that it's supposed to so that it can be effective and that the government can see that it is something that can help and that it's something that insurance companies should cover because it is actually beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it helps like with other parts of like their healthcare and their therapy, because like when I was like a nursing assistant, I would work a lot with like the occupational therapist and the physical therapist, getting people ready for like rehab, because I worked in, like with a geriatric population. But they are so exhausted and like mentally and emotionally drained. I think putting in therapeutic recreation would like boost their like energy, not like energy and like self-esteem and like their emotional health, where like it would make the physical and occupational therapy that's so physically draining a little bit easier for them, and kind of, I don't know, give them something a little more like to look forward to that's like just different. They're not going and doing the same thing that's just they struggle all day and then there's nothing for them to do. They kind of just get stuck back in the room and like, here, you can watch TV or you can read this book, but like that's all they have to offer for them.
Yeah.
Activities.
That is true. Because a lot of the things that are a part of TR are really good ways of like relieving stress or just kind of detoxing from things like physical activities, like occupational therapy or physical therapy. And so that was a good point.
And even like you could use TR in like the deep part of like an activity to like let them talk it out. Because I would get a lot of people just talking to me about like how much they were struggling, and I'm like, I don't know, it would just be really beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. Anything else on those first three questions that you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so the next one, how do these concepts apply to your discussion of TRAM? The TRAM model fell out of the book. So, let's see. Something that I think is important to recognize about these concepts in TRAM is just kind of consistency. And the book talks a lot about consistency and trying to standardize practices. And I think the TRAM model is kind of the big thing that helped standardize the whole practice because it's the model that everyone follows in their facilities. And having the model kind of outline every single detail that you need to pay attention to, like making sure that you have a specific program design and then having the specific um, programs and the API process for your individual clients, and then the um, looking at the outcomes and kind of getting opinions on those that we're facilitating and the clients. It kind of helps to standardize the practice and make it more, I guess, professional. Because, like any other medical type of practice, is going to be similar. Like, doctors all go to med school to learn the same basic ideas. And same with, like, getting your CNA or any other type of nursing certification. It's important to just, like, have that stability so that everyone is on the same page and everyone is consistent and doing the same thing so that when clients move around to different places, they'll see, oh, therapeutic recreation is a real thing. It's not just from this facility that I went to, or it's not just activities all day long. It's an actual structured process.
Yeah. That's super true. I think that would help with legislature, like getting insurance companies to cover it if we have like this model we're following and like this process that we're like using to treat all clients. Obviously, individually, you're going to change a few things, but I think that'll make it easier to prove the changes that are happening and to chart changes in the clients that will allow us to get like funded by insurance companies.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And then, I mean, it just looks better for insurance companies to know that, like, there's an actual system behind what we do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of activities, like in 471 and 472, you pretty much just do treatment plans. You will learn that. And they are terrible sometimes to come up with. But, like, when you write everything down, it makes the activity that you are facilitating seem worthwhile. Like, a lot of different things that I did treatment plans on were like certain art projects or like a PE game, where at the time that you're performing it, it just kind of seems like a fun thing you would do with a group of friends or like, I don't know, just within a class setting. But when you outline everything and make it look worthwhile and put the research behind it, it just looks a lot more professional and it looks like it's actually benefiting the people that are participating.
I think that like doing the following the model like forces us because like I don't know, I'm Sister Greenwood's class and today we went to like the ropes course and we'd switch from her talking to us as her students or like acting like we were like a client or someone that was there for like therapeutic services. And
Mm-hmm.
it was just interesting to like if you follow the model, I think it helps you like not just do this activity, but like you have pre-thought out and like you know how you're gonna debrief, you know, like is of this, like what kind of language you're gonna use, like what kind of questions you're gonna ask, if you're gonna pause and like do a quick little debrief in the middle, or like it just helps plan it out a lot better and it's more beneficial.
Yep, exactly. Anything else on that question?
No.
Okay, so the last question is describe 2 advantages to trim. So what do you think?
I mean, I think we already kind of touched on it. Like the advantages are it proves to others that like what we're doing is worthwhile. Following the model kind of makes it a little more professional, and like if a patient is transferring to somewhere else, they can look and say, okay, this is what they did. This is what the model, like they followed this, and it's just easier than saying, oh, we did this one activity with them. Like,
Yeah, it just gives a reason. Yeah, exactly. I feel like we pretty much did touch on it. And like I said, it just kind of standardizes the practice, which makes it easier for clients to recognize that it's an actual practice if they were ever to move facilities. And it's also beneficial to the professionals that are facilitating within the practice, because then if you were ever to move or go to some other facility, the model is there and the model is used for everybody. And so you already understand like how everything works.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing just says to utilize 3 academic resources from the course readings, but you know, everything that I was pulling was from the book, so
Yeah, same. I was like looking at the notes I took and
yeah, same here.
with the podcast and stuff.
Yep. Anything else that you want to go over or whatever?
No, I think I'm good. Anything you want to go over?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. Well, since I'm the group lead, I will submit the link to this video, and so I don't think you have to do anything else. I'll just put your name down.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Good. Great. Sweet. Well,
Okay. Are you
I'll,
the like thing tomorrow, aren't you? The site visit?
yeah, at the homestead, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Is it at
11:30.
11:30?
Yeah. And she said it'll only take like 30 minutes, so yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Then I'll
Okay.
see you tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.
Bye.